We're getting down to the wire, bud. In this JPGivin'er analysis, I'll be analyzing Centels' perspective from a 66 between resemblance and a squared. This is a front-heavy analysis, especially on the first race, so I hope you get something out of this video in that regard. Additionally, I definitely have more things to say regarding what Centels did right, so this should be a nice change of pace. So without further ado, let's start Givin'er, bud. Starting things off, we got Ice Outpost. Like I mentioned earlier, Centels mainly played in the front this race. What makes this race unique is that I actually have next to nothing to critique him for, but rather to showcase what he does right in the front. We're getting started right now, and as always, when I say you, I'm most likely referring to Centels. The fact that you got screwed over at the beginning and were able to catch up to the front by the end of the lap is pretty great. Acknowledging the fact that 3 of your team were in the back, including yourself, making a push to get back to the front is something that helps out a lot, especially in the event that most of your opponents hold the top spots, although I don't think that was the case on the first lap of this race. The only thing I could mention here in regards to what you could have done better is maybe driving around the shortcut. People were falling off left and right, but you were very close to being one of those people as well. Considering you had shrooms, it might have been the better option in most cases to just drive around, but maybe that's just me. And maybe you were comfortable taking cut even with your opponent's revolving shroom almost screwing you over. It definitely would have been the safer option, but in most cases, you probably wouldn't get much out of going around, especially considering you were trying to catch up. I know I sound all over the place right now, so just take my whole explanation of going around the shortcut with a grain of salt, since it's an interesting topic. Either way, you turned out just fine. Even though your opponent got bananaed before you shroomed, I think it was a really good idea that you positioned yourself on the right path before shrooming past your opponent. You eliminated most situations where your opponent would go out of their way to hit you, and since you'd be switching from yellow to green path after shrooming, you'd profit from staying wide overall. The main idea to take away from this is that if you're playing defensively, you want to make sure that if you're making a play to get ahead of a dangerous opponent, you'll be safe and good to go moving forward. Taking a risky approach by shrooming right next to your opponent, especially with no item in your pocket, could have ended poorly for you. A pretty basic point, however, understanding the essentials is the most important when front running. The rest of the race involved Centels and his 2 and eventually 3 teammates running away with the race, but before moving on, I do have to bring up how even with nothing going on, you can still see Centels using his rear view on straights just to ensure nothing weird is on its way to hit him. This game can be really weird sometimes, with random greens coming in from who knows where, red shell warnings being non-existent, and leg trolls being just a thing. So the fact that you weren't complacent and made sure everything was fine and dandy even after you saw your teammate was in 4th is awesome. Keep doing this when you're front running, especially if there's a tight pack a little bit behind you. It's a simple thing that people forget about, and before they know it, they can't block a red shell that passed their teammate in combination with no red shell warning. In the end, you guys finished in top 4, so great job on that. Next up is Wario Stadium. I think Centels plays this race decently for the most part, and I have just a couple things to point out where he could have played better. Again, we're getting started right now. This is more of a team point rather than an individual point, but when starting in top spots on Wario Stadium, first place should only take 1 of the 4 coins. The reason for this is that first is most likely going to pull a coin at first set, so that's 2 extra coins, and there are 3 more coins before second set. First place will not have to worry about their coin count by not taking all 4 coins, since you can collect up to 6 coins before the second set by only taking 1 coin. You collect the first one because that's the easiest coin to collect without going too far outside of the main lines. Second should take the remaining 3 coins because third has a 1 coin advantage, and that can lead to quick bumps if they both go tight. Besides, if anyone is getting bumped by using this method, it isn't first, and that's what matters. So next time, when your team is starting in top spots on Wario Stadium, make sure that first knows to take the first of the 4 coins while second takes the remaining 3. I just wanted to say that I wouldn't worry too much about getting screwed over twice here, because that was pretty unlucky. Holding your shroom was the right call, even with the coin in your pocket, because you'd be extending the lead your top 2 has, or at the very least maintaining it since a few opponents shroomed up as well. The second place coin pull was just unlucky, but that's besides the point here. If there was no fire here, you very likely would have been good to go, so don't worry too much about this if you thought you did something wrong here. It is what it is, bud. Alright, now this is where the fun begins. If I were you, I would not have shroomed here, but there eventually were people ahead of the guy who could have threaded you, so it's all good. But the reason why you should have held your shroom is because if you get hit, you can recover right away. That covers half the damage a shell does to you, since you can get right back up to speed. Now, I'm not really sure why you backed out here. Maybe you thought the guy with the red was another opponent, or you wanted to let your teammate red someone else? Either way, slowing down was not the play, since you knew there was a red somewhere behind you, and as soon as you backed out, it was GG, bud. So moving forward, a few things to take away from this. Shrooming after getting hit by a shell covers about half of the damage usually done, so don't try and shroom away unless you know you won't get redded by doing so. Additionally, don't be so quick to back out from getting redded, especially if you can comprehend that the guy holding the red is your teammate. It could have been your mate who would be the one to block the red, and then everyone is good to go. You backing out made the whole situation really messy, and overall, not worth shrooming in the first place. Not much else happened after this since you played well to make your way up to 6 for the rest of the race. The only thing I'll mention is that even though you would lose a bit of time by doing this, I think instead of spacing out your shrooms then starring, you should have just started immediately. It's at the end of the race, you passed last set a little while ago, and you'd be invincible for the rest of the race. You never know what can happen, and you can never be too safe in this game. As small of a chance this is, how devastating would it have been if you got shocked right before the shortcut? Again, you can never be too safe in this game, so next time, I advise you to spam your star in an endgame situation like this, where you'll be invincible for the rest of the race regardless. Either way, you finished in 6th, so good job on that. Lastly, we have Cheeseland, and this race represents the JPGivin'er Analysis that you all know and love. And for Centels, I hope you get the most out of this race since I have the most amount of things to talk about regarding what you could have done better or differently here. I'm not exactly sure what your intentions were, but if you wanted to be a main runner for your team, I definitely don't think chaining your red into the first set was the play, whether the shot came right after or not. I think you should have backed your red at the last set, shroomed through the off-road on that turn, then took the ending shortcut. As a runner, this would set yourself up best to keep your team in good standing in the front, as well as to break away from the baggers before the inevitable shock or two as much as possible. This is a light point considering this is Cheeseland, but if this weren't such a hard bagging track, there would be a lot more weight against you holding your red after last set and not taking the shortcuts. Just keep that in mind moving forward. Alright, a couple things to mention here. You knew an opponent was in front of you, and even if one of your mates was within the distance where you could maybe fireball them, the chances are next to none. Therefore, you should not have stopped spamming your fire right before the last set, and should have just kept going and got the box. That's just one thing though. I do like how you went around the shortcut. You fall down to a lower spot without losing too much, and you increase the gap between you and everyone else in front of you, increasing the odds of pulling a really good item at the next set. But none of that mattered since you missed the item set. Long term, this didn't matter a lot, but you could have put yourself in a much better position going into the end game of this race, especially if you pulled an item like a star. That goes to show how important cycling through items is in this game, and ensuring you don't skip item sets even if you have a solid item already. So next time, make sure you can nail an item box, and make sure if you already spammed a ton of fire to chain, don't just stop chaining, especially when you have no reason to. I just wanted to say, good job on waiting until the last second before chaining your shroom into the doubles. I think it's really easy to get behind the idea that you're going to nail the double box, so you waste your items, but the odd time, someone snags the doubles from you just before you get to them. By both holding your shroom until you knew you'd chain, as well as break drifting to further ensure you'd chain into the doubles, paved the way for you getting 2 really good items from the second set. So keep that up, my guy. That's pretty much it, but going back to what I said at the end of Wario Stadium, this is another situation where you should have used your star as soon as you entered the off-road. You would have been invincible for the rest of the race, and you wouldn't get target shocked off the track or in the off-road where you shroomed. I already talked about this though, so I'll leave it at that. Just keep this idea in mind moving forward, and you'll be Givin'er. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As for Centels, while I did talk quite a bit about what you did right, I hope you got something out of when I talked about what you did wrong, or maybe reassurance that what you did right was right. Moving forward, you should focus on not shrooming away from reds if you can't pass anyone, going through every item box you can, and using your star in a spot where you'll be invincible in either a really good spot or for the rest of the race. A very niche analysis, but I wish you the best of luck moving forward. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.